In keeping with the latest trend for wheels going wider for your wider tyres, this wheel set is supposed to be ultra wide as well as being deep section, extremely light, and they won't break the bank. There's nothing written as to what brand they are except handle with care. That's the only thing written on this box. The brand is Aero. So without wasting any more of your time, let's have a look. So the box is plain and simple, and the packaging is also basic. Nothing fancy, but does the job. Quite a nice looking carbon wheel set, deep section rims, carbon fibre spokes, good quality hub with apparently ceramic bearings in them. We'll have a look at that later. The decal's on there, 8 Leon, and on the other side it's supposed to read L6 because that's the model. However, if you read it the same way Alien's read, it says 91 or 97. Anyhow, that doesn't matter so much. So the wheel set comes with 3 spare carbon spokes, a little aluminium type keyring trinket, product manual, and some stickers inside. They're nice. Extra wide rim tape for the extra wide rims, and this rim tape enables you to run tubeless as well, and 2 tubeless long valves. Now there's a couple of really outstanding big features of this wheel set, and one of them is literally big, the width of the rims. Okay, the width of the rear one, the internal, 26 millimeters internal. Now I measured that as 32 on the outside. So 26, 32. Now that is wide. The front rim is identical to the rear, 26 inside width and 32 outside. So both the rims are identically ultra wide as far as the width is concerned. And that is not the widest part of the rim. Further down the rim is 34. I'll just mark where that is so you know. That's where the widest part is, 34, right there. See that white spot? So that's the widest point, 34 millimeters, and it's both rear and front wheel. Now let's find out their weight, keeping in mind these are 60 millimeters deep. Rear wheel, 660 grams. Front wheel, 580 grams. Wow, they're light. So 1240 grams for an ultra wide rim at 60 mm depth. That is incredibly light. So if you're looking for a spanky, good looking set of full carbon wheels, 60 mm depth, ultra wide, will take any size tyre you want, as long as it fits in your frame, of course, and they're ultra light, these wheels may be for you. Let's have a closer look at these wheels. The carbon fibre used to make the rim is Toray T1000, so it's the high grade carbon fibre. You'll also notice the spoke nipples are not all the way through. They're about 1/2 to 3/4 the way through. And the reason is because reinforcing on the inside of the rim where the spoke nipple is on each spoke nipple. So they've got some reinforcing around where it counts. The rims are a satin finish. There's a little bit of a shine there, not much, but they're not matte either. They're sort of halfway in between. And that's because there's no coating. There's no final coat on the rims whatsoever. And the decals, you can feel the decals as you put your finger over them. So I guess having no coating on the rims also saves a little bit of weight. All the grams add up. Decals are definitely not showy. They don't come out at you because you've got a dark grey rim and you've of course got black decal there and there. So you can hardly see them, especially when the wheel's going around. The other thing is it's a straight label, so the letters don't curve around with the rim. So the decals are definitely not big and showy like Zip, Envy and Eastern, where you can see them 1/2 a mile away. If I can find a picture, I'll put an insert in. You can also get these decals in multicolour, like a rainbow colour. We've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 spokes on the cassette side, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 on the rotor side. They're crossing twice on both sides and they're not touching where they cross, so fairly normal there. Front wheel 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 and 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So 10 by 10, same thing, crossing twice, not touching when they cross. So the advantage of crossing your spokes is they're a little bit stronger than just going straight to your rim, radial. The carbon spokes are 4 mil wide by 1 mil. Because Chinese wheel manufacturers are getting so good now, so consistent with their quality of production, we have to toughen up the criteria, the examination. So one thing that I've done recently, and I found that it was slightly out on one pair of wheels, I won't say which pair, but we'll do on these, is the spoke width. Those using bladed spokes, make sure the width is all the same, because these blade spokes are not like steel spokes. They're not rolled in a steel factory where they're absolutely even. I did find on one pair of wheels where the difference was about 0.3 millimeters difference in the spoke width. Not that it's any big deal, but it's interesting to see the consistency of quality of the bladed spoke. So we'll measure these ones. So measuring the rear wheel first, all the spokes on the cassette side, then all the spokes on the rotor side, and then changed over to the front wheel and did the same. By far most of the measurements were in the 4.2s. The greatest measurement of all was 4.31 and the smallest 4.17. So the difference between the largest and the smallest was 0.14 of a millimetre. I don't think we're going to lose any sleep over that. If you ever need to replace spokes, 5.5 mil hex. So just peel back the rim tape and you've got direct access via the hole. Let's have a look how true these wheels are. Rear wheel first, the lateral deviation, and the needle's going between -74 and +2, so that's 0.28 millimetre deviation. Excellent. The concentricity is between 64 and 36, so that's 0.28 millimetres deviation. Excellent again. Front wheel lateral true going between 67 and 92, so that's 0.25 millimetres. Excellent again. And front wheel concentricity between -97 and 40, so that's 0.43 millimetres. Oh, anything under 0.5 millimetre is considered pretty much perfect, not to worry about, so that just sneaks in there. Spoke tension, the do-it-yourself way, plastic tyre lever. Excellent. Turn it over and have a look. This is the rear wheel. Okay, we're on the rotor side. Bit of a difference. What did I do there? Oh, I touched the other side accidentally. A little bit of a difference in tone. Overall, sounds okay. Remember, you can do this at home if you don't have a digital tension gauge. Let's measure it with the digital tool. Now using the digital tension meter, let's measure the rear and the front wheel. Only takes about 10 minutes to write down all the measurements, and we'll put them in the app, and this is what we get. So we have the rotor side and the cassette side, and we've set the app at 10% tolerance. It's significantly better than the sound test. Excellent evenness, as well as left to right tensions are almost equal. The front wheel at 10%, and it's almost perfect. And since there's no cassette side, the left and right tension values are even more closely related. This got me thinking, how good would these wheels be at 5% tolerance? So at 5% I plugged the numbers in. And amazing, not only no errors, but again extremely even. And lastly, the front wheel at 5%. Almost perfect. Zooming in just here, you can see one spoke a fraction tighter than the average. I'm guessing it's below 1% out. So overall, an excellent result. Not many wheel sets can look like this at 5% tolerance. Spoke twist, now you might not think that's so important, but when we're trying to squeeze out every bit of efficiency out of our bike as possible, then really it is important. So popping the tool onto each individual spoke as close to the rim as we can first, and then we go around again on the same spokes and get the tool as close as we can to the hub to see how straight they are. Looking very good. Can't find one that's out. Well, that's the rear one. Well, that's amazing. I reckon that's probably the only set of wheels I've measured with near on perfect spoke twist, all directly aligned. Hubs are a satin black finish and they're a low flange on both sides, and the spoke heads are wedged into a hole in the hub. Smooth hub bearings, not 100%, but 99.9. You can just feel a little bit of roughness, but that's quite often the case with ceramic bearings, and they don't get very much rougher than that. 8 make the free hubs available. You can get them in Shimano 10, 11, 12 speed, in SRAM, XDR and Campagnolo, N3W. Also available is the old quick release. So if you want, you can get the old quick release hubs as well. Front hub bearings. Oh, we can't feel a thing there. Front hub is also low flange, minimalistic looking. Free hub, quite grabby, pushes forward a bit. Typical of the DT Swiss style clutch because all the teeth engage and disengage all at once. So you've got them pushing forward a bit. So you can see that when you just touch it, you can see the free hub body sort of move, it jitters. Well, we've got the rear wheel here, the clutch. It's quite loud. And we've got, put the valve hole there. You can tell it's 36 engagements per revolution. Aluminium free hub body. This time they've got holes drilled in it. So make it a little bit lighter again. By what? 2 grams? No tools required. Pulling off the end cap, we can see it has a single flanged dust cap. And inside the dust cap is a rubber O-ring. Front hybrid ceramic bearing. In the back of the free hub there's a purple spacer washer and another ceramic bearing. Then a top star ring spring, the top star ring, then the bottom star ring, 36 teeth. The bottom star ring spring and another spacer washer, and then the bearing. These bearings in the hub shell are also hybrid ceramic. Over to the rotor side of the rear hub, and it's a double sealed end cap. The O-rings are a bit hard to see, so I'll just dig it out a little bit. There you go, so it's a bit more obvious. Over to the front hub, non-rotor side, double sealed end cap, and an O-ring in the end cap. And of course hybrid ceramic bearings in the front hub as well. The rotor side of the front hub is identical to the other side, so a double seal end cap and ceramic bearings. And there's the O-ring, not to forget the O-ring. So the seals of the sealed bearings and the O-rings and the end caps, as your spinny wheel, can sometimes offer a bit of resistance. These are fine. So that can be a good thing or a bad thing. If you have a bit of resistance, then the seals are rubbing, which is good for keeping out the dirt and the moisture, but will add a bit of friction. And if you have it too loose, then the seals will let a bit of dust, dirt and moisture in. So it's a really fine balance. The whole idea is to get the tolerances just right. Anyway, I can tell you there's virtually no resistance, probably no resistance here from the seals. Maybe from the bearings, that's about it. And the front one, just check the front one. Yeah, the front one's the same. There you go, it's going back and forth because the valve hole's up the top. So negligible resistance from any seals. Being the old DT Swiss style clutch, you can now purchase a clutch kit to replace the existing one for either a repair job or to change the number of engagements per revolution. So here I'm going to replace the existing 36 tooth clutch rings with these 60 tooth clutch rings. It's easy to do, and again, no tools required. Here I'm just assembling it with no grease, just to show you. And now it sounds like this. It's loud as. Definitely need to put some grease in there to quieten that down. The dishing 0. .1 millimeter off. In other words, perfect. That's the rear. Front one. Perfect. So 0.1 millimeter off on the rear only. Gosh. And we know these rims aren't like the old aluminium ones where opposite the valve hole was where they were joined, and inside the rim there was a heavy piece of aluminium joining. These wheels, carbon ones, don't have that. So these wheels are balancing with the valve hole wanting to go up the top. Now, if you were to drill out a piece of carbon from this rim, the size of the valve hole, how much would it weigh? I'm taking a guess, 0.2 grams, 0.3 maybe. This is balancing. So just try the rear one. Okay, the valve hole is where the L6 is. Can you see L6? There, it's on that side. So it's doing the same thing with all 4 bearings having to rotate because I'm not holding the clutch. So amazingly free. If I was to spin this and hold this here, my arms will be tired by the time it stops spinning. So extremely free bearings. I wonder how long they'll stay like that. And because we've got such wide rims, 32 millimeter on the outside, let's find out what a 28 millimeter tyre will pump up to on these rims. Just a year and a half ago, we were using this rim tape, and this is for the 28C tyres, and you can see the difference. The rim tape now is significantly wider, so use the right rim tape for the width of these wheels. And don't forget to use the right size tube. If you have a tube that blows up to 25C, really won't hack it if you're using 30C tyres, it will blow out too thin. So you'll need to get the right size tube. If you're using 34C tyres, make sure your tube is compatible with the 34C tyre. And not to mention the valve length as well. Make sure the valve length, because it's a 60mm rim, you need some poking out so you can pump it up. Tyre goes on perfectly. Okay, so our 28C tyre blows up to just over 31. So in this instance, the tyre is actually narrower than the 32 rim. So the rim sticks out just a fraction more than the tyre actually does. Also interesting to note is the height of the tyre. This height is just a fraction over 25 millimeters. Now let's try a 32C tyre. The TPU tubes I'm using blow up to 32C, so that's good. So we've got our 32C tyre. Now there's a bit of a conundrum here. If you're used to riding 28C tyre and you've now gone up to 32, well, you'll get more comfort and you'll get more tyre grip. But the thing is, you're also adding weight because this 32C tyre is going to be heavier than your 28. So you're going to add more weight to the outside circumference of your wheel. So now you've got to think, do you want to put up with a bit more weight in order to have a little bit more comfort and more tyre grip? Or do you want to go back to your 28C, have lighter tyre and less tyre grip and slightly less comfort? Up to you. Personally, I prioritise comfort over aerodynamics and lightweight and all that sort of thing. So that's really a topic for another video. However, you could always reason what sort of terrain are you riding on. If you're riding on rough terrain, our bunch rides pretty much around our area. 99% of our roads are terrible because we live slightly out of the city in the country. The roads are definitely not smooth. So having a wider tyre will definitely add to the comfort there, soaking up more of the vibration and the potholes which come along every now and again. However, if you've got nice smooth roads where you ride, then it's no point having wider tyres. Just go for your 28s, that's plenty. Maybe if you're doing some wet riding in the wet, maybe go to 30s for extra grip, but that's all. So it's a matter of analysing your priorities. So our 32C tyre blows out to 33. Well, I thought this 32 would go a bit more than 33, but anyhow, that's what it is. And the height measures at 29 millimeters. I'd like to try a 34 or a 36C tyre. I don't have one. However, I do have something big. Gravel bike tyres and wheels. What's the difference between these wheels and those wheels? The hubs are pretty much identical to those ones. The spokes are carbon fibre. Spokes here are carbon fibre. There's 10 spokes on each side. There's 10 spokes on each side. What about the rims? So here's our gravel wheel. Let's measure the outside. 31. And the inside is about 24.5. So these rims are a fraction narrower than these ones. So our road wheel is the same or fractionally wider than our gravel wheel. So why can't you use this road wheel on a gravel bike? So these wheels can double as gravel wheels. This is a 44C tyre. Thin smear of grease on the free hub body and a little bit on the thread for the cassette lock ring. This is the same cassette I've been using for goodness knows how many years. And it's almost at 40,000 Ks. So that's pretty good. It's only a Shimano 105. And of course, that's what happens when you run a waxed chain. So it's on the 3rd chain now, and it's still going strong. If you look at the condition, I'll just give you a close-up, have a look at the condition of the teeth. It's still very shiny, but the condition of the teeth is excellent still. So if you're not waxing your chain yet, why not? This is 11 speed, running 11 speed for so long now. It's about time I upgraded to 12 speed. When this dies, or even before, maybe at the end of the next chain life, so before 50,000 Ks, I think I'll go replace it with 12 speed. We'll go 12 speed, why not? I'm running the wheel top electronic gears, so you just change it in the app. 12 speed, no problem. And a bit of grease for the rotor lock ring. One gripe I've got, pretty much every time I put on a new set of wheels, the rotor is in a different position to the previous set of wheels. Only needs to be a fraction of a millimetre out and the brake pads are rubbing on the rotor. Annoying. So this is just slightly out. The back one's just the same. I don't know if you can hear that. Brake rub. Anyway, you've got to realign, you've got to undo the bolts, get it so it's nice and central again every time. Why can't there be an exact standard where the rotor on every single pair of hubs is in the same position every time? It's just annoying. That being said, once you've got it all set up, then you're right for your new set of wheels and off you go. Unlike me, every so many months I've got another set of wheels to do and you've got to realign the calipers. One day I'm going to wear the little inserts on the carbon forks or the rear at the back where the bolts go out. The thread's just going to strip through because I've undone it and tightened it up so many times. Beautiful. One handy hint, when you're lining up your caliper, put something white on the ground so when you look down through your caliper, you can see a really clear difference between your rotor and the brake pad either side. So something white like a piece of paper. I've got a towel on the ground. Here we go. So they're both free as a bird. No brake rub. We've just come back from a ride and we've done, today was 94 Ks, 1,300 meters climbing. That's enough for our guys. So that was a good ride, survived, no problem. So done 5 rides on these wheels already and the 6th ride tomorrow. So far so good. Aitlian. And how are they going? Well, to sum it up, really, if I were to say one word, comfort. That's the main word. Because they're so wide, you can put nice wide tyres on. Now, I couldn't put the 32Cs on the Canyon because it didn't fit. It won't fit in here. There wasn't enough room. Well, it did fit, but there was like about 2 millimeters gap, and I'm not going to risk having stones flicking up here and getting gouging into your carbon fibre in here. So I'm not having that. So I put the 30s on here, but the 32s did fit the Yolio R12, no problems. As regard the comfort, if you were to get the 25C and a 28C, the difference in comfort from that is the same as a 28C to the 32. So you get that difference additional onto it even more. So with the 32, even more comfortable. 32C, who'd have thought we'd be riding 32C tyres nowadays? And of course, 34s. If you want to go 34s, they'll easily fit on these wheels. So you can run these wider tyres and no problems on these wheels, but as long as your frame accepts the wider tyres as well. So be wary of that. And the wider tyres will not only give you more comfort, but more grip in the wet conditions around corners. But not just in wet conditions, even in dry conditions, you'll get more grip around the corners. One thing I noticed, not so much on the Canyon, but on the Yolio when I was riding the 32C tyres, was a crackling, clicking sort of sound for the whole ride. Not all the time, but just randomly. And I'm thinking, what is this noise? Are my spokes breaking? Are the rims cracking up? What's going on? What it was small stones just flicking off and making a crackling sound. It was echoing through the larger bag tyre. So I had 55 PSI in it and it was going tick, click, click, click. So if you hear that on your wide tyres, don't worry, you're not cracking your rims or your spokes up. So chances are it's going to be stones flicking up. I think the overwhelming characteristic about these wheels is because they're so wide, you'll get wider tyres on there and all the benefits that come with that. However, just because they're really light wheels and you put fat tyres on, don't forget these fat tyres, like I said before, are heavier than a thinner tyre. So sure, they're going to be really light for climbing as well, even though they're a deep section rim. But if you're going to put a 32C tyre on, then you're adding weights back on again. So keep that in mind. Now we hope it never happens, but just say if someone's pedal goes in your spokes or you come off a cropper and you break a spoke and you need to replace it there and then on a ride, well, you've got 3 spare spokes, but of course you're not going to carry them with you there at home, the carbon fibre blade spokes, so they come with it, 3 spare ones. But however, it's not going to help you, is it, when you're out on the ride? But if you happen to pop into a bike shop, there's one locally, or a mate of yours has got some spokes at home and they happen to be straight pull, so like that, like a nail head on there, and they're the right lengths, you can actually put these ordinary steel ones, steel spokes, in there as a replacement and they'll get you home or get you over the next couple of weeks until you can put your own spokes, the ones that come with it, back in there. So very handy knowing that you can just use an ordinary steel straight pull spoke as an emergency. Looking at the Aitlian website, you can see all their wheel sets are UCI approved. All wheel sets come with a 3-year warranty and there's free shipping, so the price as you see it on the website is all you pay. The wheel set I have here are called the wide version carbon wheel set and the price is $13.29, that's US dollars. Scrolling down you can see there's 3 different rim depths. One set is 30 for the front, 35 for the rear. Another set is 45 for the front, 50 for the rear. And the set I've got here in this video is 60 for the front and 60 for the rear. If you're looking for something different in the wheel sets, go to their homepage and you can see a list of all their different wheel sets, and they're all extremely light. And last but not least of all, if you want these wheels on your bike so you can have the wide tyres, you can get 10% discount. Just put AusCycle in the coupon and you get 10% off. So already cheap wheels, you get even more off. So that's it. Keep enjoying riding and we'll see you soon. The wheels are definitely not too heavy for climbing. Gotta wait for everyone now. Here's the next one.
Oh, he's done it already.
So we got a puncture already.
No, it's got this.
This is the man with the aerodynamic beard. I reckon he should gel it into a nice aero shape.